Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user deleted recovered as your doctor. Crazy coworker 26 female is texting me 24 male telling me how much she is interested on me, trying to schedule to meet me after work even though she knows I'm married and totally not interested. First of all, sorry, English is not my first language. So it is as the title says. We work at the same office. She sits on the desk across from mine and is married as well as I am. And recently, we've been talking more with each other, but nothing out of the ordinary. I have a good relationship with pretty much everyone here, except for Carl. F you, Carl, and your credit-stealing habits. Anyways, just chit-chat about regular stuff. How was the weekend? Look at this funny video. What do you think about this or that? Etc. Then she started texting, telling me that she is surprised about how easy it is to talk to me and how she enjoys how the conversation just flows. And I was like, cool, me too, you're nice. Then last week I left my car at the auto repair because the brake started to make a funny noise, and since she lives 2 blocks away from where I live, I asked for a ride home. We were a bit stuck in traffic going home, talking about regular stuff. Then she brings the subject again about how nice our conversations have been, and I agree. I have plenty of female friends, so this is not uncommon for me. Then she starts talking about how interesting it is that we have some different opinions about stuff, but we get along well anyway. And I'm like, yeah, sure. This is when I noticed things got effing weird. She then says she started looking at me differently and said that she was attracted to me and put her hand on my thigh. I thanked her and told her she's nice and good looking, but we're just colleagues, we're both married. I respect her, but I'm not interested, so no way anything is going to happen. The rest of the ride was an awkward silence. When I got home, she kept texting me about how we're getting along so well and stuff, how she is not in the best moment in her marriage, etc. Then I received a lot of Instagram notifications of her mass liking my photos. I replied to the texts trying not to be rude, saying that maybe she should use her energy and time to resolve the problems she is having at home instead of this. At this point, I think she is crazy, and the best way to avoid any problems is to just dismiss the crazy crap she is saying and keep it cool and distant, since we work together in a 55 people company. She says it's not just physical attraction and that she's jealous and can't stand seeing my wife's posts on Instagram with me. Red alert! And now she wants to meet me after work or go out of the office during the lunch break to talk about things. I haven't told any of this to my wife yet, and I was not planning to do so since she is way too stressed out recently with her job and some problems with her parents. So I'd like to know from the almighty and all-knowing Reddit how, 1, to avoid this crazy lady getting crazier and causing problems at work and in my marriage, and 2, wives of Reddit, if you were my wife, would you like me to tell you what's happening or just deal with it? My plan so far is to let her know again that I'm not interested. Just play it cool and dismiss what she is saying, slowly decreasing the number of interactions we have until everything fades into regular coworker stuff. Ugh, well, OP, this is a difficult situation. However, I have to say that your plan sucks. In a situation like this, you need to nip it in the bud, and you have to do 2 things for this. 1 is you gotta talk to your wife immediately. I know I'm not a Reddit wife, that's okay, I can still have an opinion about this, and I think you need to tell your wife this is the type of thing you do not keep under wraps. I understand that she's stressed out with things that are happening in her life. But if she finds out about this from any source that is not you, it's just gonna make things worse. And 2, you gotta go to HR like yesterday. You tell them everything that's going on and you show them the texts. Hopefully HR will take proper action. But again, you have to do something, OP. You can't just sit there and wait until it fades away. And what do you guys think? Or what would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Sandman42 says, you need to tell 2 people. 1, your wife. 2, human resources. Show them the texts, including your requesting that she stop contacting you, hitting on you. You need to tell your wife and HR because this could easily spiral out of control and you need to be on top of the story. Also, you gotta trust your wife, man. Then stop talking to this coworker about anything that isn't directly work related. And OP responds, "Thanks for the advice. First, I kept talking to her because I thought maybe she is confused due to her problems at home, but now things got bat crap crazy. I thought, one, this is not my problem, and two, I don't want that crap spilled on me. I will tell my wife and HR today." Grayscale 15 says, "First, since you have asked her to back off, I would go to HR about this so they have a record of it. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, so beat her to the HR office. Then, I would give her one final warning that if she doesn't stop contacting you, except for work things, you will block her on everything and move desks." Give your wife a heads up about this. If you don't want to go into details because you think it would add more stress to her life at the moment, that's fine. But you don't want her seeing a thumbnail text on your phone from this woman professing her love for you. Anaji says, "Let your wife know. It's better to hear it from you rather than your coworker if the girl steps up her crazy. Just be honest. Save any and all messages and screenshot everything as needed on the off chance things escalate. Tell this girl that you want to keep your relationship strictly professional and tell her to stop contacting you. Then you should stop responding to texts and social media posts, etc. No response at all. No more being polite. You shouldn't be alone with her outside of work. Call an Uber if you need a ride. If things don't improve, then you should let HR know what's going on. You should tell HR immediately if she doesn't back off after you tell her to stop contacting you. Bring your proof with you." And OP responds, "We'll do that. I just got that ride because back then I didn't know crap was like that. Now that I know what her intentions are, I absolutely avoid her as bad as I can." Broken Paul says, "Does your company have an HR department? I would expect one of that size to have one. Speak to them. This has left the realm of casual interest and entered into the realm of is going to disrupt work sooner or later if it hasn't already. You need to be the one who speaks to HR first, because if she decides to force your hand by making an accusation about you to them, everything you're doing at that point is defensive. Talk to them now." Another point to consider, which granted sounds a bit paranoid but is worth thinking about, what is the possibility that she is doing this in an attempt to get you to say something compromising that she can then hold against you, either for work advantage or as blackmail material with your wife? Speak to HR first, right away. Then, once that's taken care of, speak to your wife. Tell her that there's a woman at work harassing you and that you've already spoken to HR. That shows that you're not trying to hide anything from her or from anyone else. And OP responds, "I don't believe she's trying to blackmail me, but who knows? I didn't expect crap to get where it is right now. I'll talk to HR right away." Okay, well, the community is pretty clear. Talk to HR, talk to your wife, tell them everything. And I think we're pretty clear that OP is going to talk to HR right away. He said that twice anyways. So now, let's move on with the first update to see how this story continues. So, it's been 2 weeks since my post, and I can now give you all an update. First of all, thanks for all the advice. Since it was the first time this happened to me in such a blunt way, I tried to handle it the best I could, but I was kind of lost about what to do. So thanks again, your advice really helped me. So, following your advice, the day after I posted on Reddit, I got home from work, asked my wife to sit down, and told her what was going on. I showed her all the messages and explained to her in detail what happened. She was really concerned, didn't get mad or anything, she was just worried that, using her words, that bitch would ruin your career and stress you out. So I told her I would talk to my boss and HR the next day, and so I did. I arrived earlier than usual, scheduled the meeting with HR and my boss. He went pale when I told him I'd like to talk with him and HR together. Later he said he thought I would quit, haha. I sat down with them, asked them to be prepared for a soap opera, and then showed them all the messages and explained to them all that happened. I told them I'd like her to be moved to another desk and that I trusted them to discipline her so she would stop harassing me. They listened very quietly, nodding between the sentences and making quick questions when in doubt. After I finished telling my tale, they said they would call her in to talk and address the subject, and that I could rest assured they would take all reasonable measures. I went back to my desk and got to work. I was going on a business trip to Ciudad de Mexico the following week, so I'm pretty busy. Then I heard the BSCC phone, short for Bad Crap Crazy Coworker, ring. She looked at me with suspicion in her eyes when she got up and went to talk to HR. I tried to avoid eye contact and didn't express anything. 1 hour later, she comes back crying, gets her purse, and leaves. Everyone in the office was like, "What the F just happened?" My boss then called me into his office and told me what happened. They told her I told them what was going on. Then she made a whole dramatic crap show telling them that she was in love with me and was fighting for what she thought was right, etc, etc, etc. My boss and the HR person dismissed her silly arguments and told her she would need to keep things professional and move to another desk. Otherwise, they would have to terminate her work contract. And she preferred to get fired. So from now on, she no longer works with me. It has been 2 weeks and so far nothing related to the subject happened. So I guess my life is back the way I like it. Just peace and quiet. So thanks again for all the advice. I think my thoughts were kind of clouded by this crap. You guys made me think clearly. So thank you. Wow, HR and your boss did take immediate action. Good for them. And also good for you, OP, that you don't have to deal with this kind of crazy crap anymore. The one thing though is that she preferred to get fired, which means she's definitely having some sort of weird issues. But not your monkey, not your circus. Anyways, there's 2 more updates from OP which I compiled into one, so let's finish this story with that. Hello again, this just got somewhat weirder and I wanted to share it with you all since you've helped me a lot so far. I just got a call from her husband. Apparently, she was crying all weekend and told him on Monday why she was fired. He told her that he didn't buy her version of the facts since she contradicted herself in several points of her story. He told me he called the company to clarify what happened and now was calling me just to make sure. I told him everything and offered to show him the messages. We are going to meet in an hour in a coffee next to the office. He sounded hurt, but very clear-minded. I just told my boss, HR, and my wife that I'm going to meet him, and my boss offered to go with me. Man, I'm surrounded by good people. 2 hours later. I just came back from the meeting with her husband. It was all very quickly. I arrived with my boss. He was waiting for me. I just showed him the messages on my phone, answered some questions about what happened, and that was it. He said he just wanted to be sure because she deleted all of her messages. He said this was not the first time something like that happened and apologized for everything. He said she was seeing a psychologist in the past, but she had stopped going recently. I just said I didn't want anything to do with all of this, that I went to meet him just to make it clear that I didn't want any of this to happen, wished him the best, and left. He just nodded and apologized again as I left. I'm surprised by his reaction. Maybe he doesn't seem to be angry because they passed through something similar before. I don't know and really don't care. I've just had enough drama and I'm glad this wasn't another one. So let's hope this is the end. Well, OP, let's hope this is the end, and thankfully you're out of any of the drama anymore. You don't have to deal with any of this. I'm just curious to know what Carl thinks of all of this. I guess we'll never know about that. Anyways, thanks for sharing, OP, and all the best to you. Take care. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliant, and it's by user A Drunken Scot. My teacher called my work bad and my attitude even worse. It then got featured in the biggest art gallery in the country. The school I go to is well respected in my country, so it was not uncommon for venues to request to display a student's work or to ask for students to sing live for them. On the occasion in question, the largest art gallery in the country, Gallery X, had asked my school to submit inspired art to be out on display. The school agreed and said that they would submit 5 pieces of work, 1 piece per year. Now to the story. I hated art growing up, but it was a mandatory subject until you got to choose your subjects in year 10. Needless to say, I dropped the subject as soon as possible. Despite hating the subject, I still put effort into my work and some of it wasn't that bad. However, at the same time, I would not hide away from expressing my views when we were giving a task that I didn't see a point to, even if the teacher was in earshot. Needless to say, my relationship with the art department faculty wasn't the best. My teacher at the time particularly had it in for me. He was one of those teachers that have the view that their subject should be your most important subject, regardless of your future ambitions. If he thought that you weren't prioritizing art, then he would make your life hell. Yet again, I hated art as a subject. He knew this, but I would still do any work set to the best of my ability. We had just finished a project where we had to mix different pigments to create our own unique color. Being colorblind, I struggled a lot as I literally could not differentiate between half of the pigments. I gave it my all but ended up giving up halfway through the project. My teacher hated me for giving up. In his defense, he had tried to make it as easy as possible for me, but I hated the subject and saw a way out, so I took it. My teacher was beyond mad. When we went to hand the project in, he gave me a lecture about how I needed to put in more effort and work harder because the quality of work was unacceptable. Once that project was finished, my teacher told us that Gallery X had asked that we create some inspired art. We were basically shown 5 different paintings that we were supposed to recreate in our own way. There was a big fuzz about this. People were saying that art schools would be giving out scholarships, that there was a $10,000 reward, and other nonsense that 14-year-olds make up. But nevertheless, everyone wanted to be the one to have their painting in Gallery X, so for the next month and a half in my art classes, we would work on our piece. After the first week of working on my piece, the excitement of the new project wore off, and so did my eagerness in lessons. My teacher noticed and went from complimenting my work to yelling at me about what I was doing wrong. By the 4th week, I was over the project and just wanted to be done with this. With 2 weeks left on the project, my teacher pulls me aside to tell me that my work isn't good enough and I need to improve it. I tried to improve it, but he kept on belittling me. So, out of arrogance and spite, I made art my most important subject until the end of this project. I dragged myself to each lesson, quietly working myself to the bone, counting down the days until the deadline of the project. After what seemed like a year to 14-year-old me, the second last lesson arrives. This lesson was not for final touches or anything like that. My teacher had decided that he should review what each student has done well and where they could have improved. He walks around the classroom complimenting everyone's work until he gets to me. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I'm pretty sure none of it was positive. I do remember, however, how he finished talking about mine. You can tell that OP hasn't given this any thought and hasn't taken this seriously. That stung like a bitch because yes, I had lost interest in it, but I had still worked hard in lessons and given it my best shot. The bell then went off and I sulked out of the class with my tail between my legs. The last lesson finally comes and I can't wait to be over with this stupid project. This lesson was the big one too. The judges from Gallery X were coming to school to judge all of the artwork. They come into our class and do all the formalities. These all look so good, I have no idea how we can decide on only one. Then they start walking around the room muttering to each other. The whole class stood silently at the back trying to hear what they were saying. They do a full lap of the room, then walk back over to my spot. They then ask the teacher whose work this was. He looks at them almost in disbelief as he gestures to me. I snap out of my daydream and just smile politely with no idea what is going on. The judges then confer for a while, and after about 5 minutes of mumbling, they say that they want to shortlist it to potentially be shown in Gallery X. I look at them in shock, then again smile politely and say thank you. I cannot begin to describe the look on my teacher's face. I don't think I have ever seen someone more confused, angry, and disappointed all at the same time. My teacher then begrudgingly thanks the judges and walks them to the door. He thanks them again as they leave, then stumbles back to the class. He doesn't even congratulate me on my work, he just defeatedly says, "Good work everyone, as a reward I'll put on a documentary for you all to watch." And he did just that, not saying another thing until the end of the class. Later on that week, I got an email from Gallery X asking for my permission to display my work, to which I happily said yes. Well, OP, gallery judges had a very different opinion from your teacher. Congratulations on showing off your work, and thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.